Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Aaron Porras, and coming up in today's newscast, Prime Minister Netanyahu responds to the threats from Iran. The son of parents murdered by terrorism becomes a man, and later we'll reveal which American food chain has Israelis clucking with excitement. The pressures on Iran are seemingly coming to a head in the Middle East as pro-Iran forces, proxies, and affiliates continue to threaten Western nations while oppressing dissidents and demonstrators. On top of killing hundreds of citizens in protests in Iran, Lebanon, and Iraq, Iran is now also warning that its missile arsenals are aimed at 21 American and Gulf military bases across the region and can launch up to 20,000 missiles per day. Also, Iran is reiterating its ability to raze Tel Aviv and Haifa to the ground. But meanwhile, rather than stand up to the aggressions of Tehran, UN and EU member states are appeasing the Ayatollah regime. On Saturday, 6 new countries, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden, announced that they'd be joining the Instex barter mechanism led by France, Germany, and the UK. Instex is a way to work around the United States' sanctions on trade with Iran by avoiding use of the dollar. And Israel is reacting harshly as Prime Minister Netanyahu says that Europe could not have picked a worse timing, adding that now is the time to ratchet up the pressures on Iran, not to lessen them.
While the Iranian regime is killing its own people, European countries rush to support that very murderous regime. While Iran bombs Saudi Arabia's oil installations, while Iran rushes to enrich uranium for nuclear weapons, European countries rush to appease Iran with even more concessions.
Similarly, human rights advocates like Israeli attorney Arsen Ostrovsky are pointing out how hypocritical the international community is for failing to respond, writing that Iran has massacred over 450, injured over 2,000, and detained at least 7,000 people since protests began, yet the UNHCR has launched 0 emergency sessions, condemnations, or fact-finding missions. While Israel and the United States are responding, Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump discussed the threat from Iran as well as other critical issues in the region on Sunday. And later this week in London, or now in Lisbon, Netanyahu is expected to plea with NATO members, including Germany, France, and the United States, to change course and join the fray more seriously.
These European countries should be ashamed of themselves. Have they learned nothing from history? Well, apparently not. They're enabling a fanatic terrorist state to develop nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, thereby bringing disaster to themselves and upon everyone else. Now is the time to change course.
Meanwhile, speaking of the Middle East protests, Israel's biggest critic and threat, Iran, continues to shake as demonstrators from anti-government citizens increase.
In Tehran, in Baghdad, in Beirut, people are taking to the streets. They're being slaughtered by the hundreds, yet they continue to protest. The tyrants of Tehran shoot them, no avail. They tamper with the internet, to no avail as well. The fearless and frustrated people of Iran simply refuse to be silenced. What is driving these people to risk their lives and stand up to their oppressors? Well, the answer is simple. They're fed up. They're fed up with corruption. They're fed up with failing economies. They're fed off with the siphoning off of their treasure and their lives to Iran's wars of aggression in the region.
Seemingly, the Middle East is on fire, as this week alone, an estimated 100 more demonstrators were killed by Iranian guards. The New York Times reports that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps even opened fire on between 40 and 100 unarmed young men hiding in a marsh. They had been protesting when forces who were trying to crush the demonstrations opened fire without warning. And that's when protesters took cover in the marsh area, where one of the men reportedly fired off a gun at the soldiers. But within moments, troops fired back and it was all over. Dozens of men were killed, piled up onto the back of a truck, and taken away. As for the wounded, they were taken to a hospital where nurses said many had bullets to the head and chest, and one family said they had been given the body of their relative back 5 days later, but only after they had signed documents saying that they would not host funerals, services, or speak with the media. International rights groups accuse Iran of taking and hiding bodies to hide the numbers of dead, and social media reports even allege that family members have had to pay for the bullets that killed their loved ones. Reports from Iranian state media, however, say that a senior guards commander from one of the troops was killed in the clashes, and that the protests are just an attempted coup orchestrated by the West. Now joining us in the studio with more on Iran and the massive demonstrations across the Middle East is Middle East expert and chairman of the Professors for a Strong Israel, Dr. Mordechai Kadam. Dr. Kadam, welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure.
Now, let's first of all start with the chance for spillover into Israel. Let's look at the angle of the Middle East conflict through Israel's lens. Iran, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq are all in turmoil right now. How is Israel not going to be affected?
No, not only this, you can add to this the fact that the demonstrators actually put on fire the Iranian consulate in Najaf, which is Iraq, a very important site and very important place. And this is something which, for the Iranians, is a very big, kick, because Najaf is actually the holy city, the third holy city for the Shia after Mecca and Medina. And if Iraqi Shia demonstrators put on fire the Iranian consulate in this town, it means that the Shia Iraqis do not want the Iranians. This is something which, always we
So this isn't like a Shiite Sunni conflict. This is very political. This
is political. This is against the rule. Look, the Iranians are not Arabs. Arabs have self-esteem. They don't allow Iranians, means Persians, to control their life. And this is actually behind the scenes. I would say they despise, which the Arabs look at Persians for many years already. They call them all kind of dirty names. And this is what actually is behind the scene. Not only this, they blame Iran for making their life so miserable by supporting this government, which is so corrupt. So when you add all these things together, you can find why people are so angry at Iran.
So is Iran's spread through the region at risk? Because it seems like, not long ago it was as strong as it had ever been.
Look, Iran is a strong country only because the other parties are weak. Look, Saudi Arabia got a big hit on the 14th of September when half of its oil production was paralyzed for who knows how long. What did they do against it? What did the Americans did against it? Nothing. Iran just went over, and nothing happened to Iran because of this vile attack against the sovereign soil of Saudi Arabia, and nothing happened. And so they are very much encouraged because of the fact that the world, let alone Saudi Arabia, doesn't do anything against them. Not only this, the Europeans actually are looking for ways how to go around American sanctions in order to support Iran. So they feel that they can do whatever they like. And this is the problem, because when the Iranians are emboldened, as they are by the world, they don't see any limit to their way and to the fact that they want to devastate the whole Arab world in order to subjugate it to the Iranians' aspirations for regional hegemony, and only Israel is there to face Iran.
So do you think that the European Union or the UN fully understands what the danger that Iran poses to the Middle East is?
They don't understand because they see only the business. They want to invest, they want to have revenues for the money, and this is what, unfortunately, many Europeans look at the Middle East through the dollar or the euro or whatever. And this is, they don't see the human rights which they help to abuse. And this is actually a betrayal against the Iranian people who demonstrate. And this round of demonstrations, which now is more or less crashed, it engulfed hundreds of cities, towns, neighborhoods, unprecedented, such a wide spread demonstration as it was right now. The question is how long it will take until we see the next wave.
Sure.
The more closer,
or if the next wave actually ever comes.
The more, no, it will come, no doubt, it will come. Wow. The more close these events are, the more severe they are.
All right, well, we'll have to see what happens. We're all
in my
waiting
view,
anxiously.
Iran lives on a borrowed time. How long? I have no idea.
All right, Dr. Kadam, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And moving on, if you live in Israel and things seemed calm to you in late November while 500 rockets and mortars rained down from the Gaza Strip, there's a reason for that. Until the summer of 2019, Israel's rocket alert system was divided into 250 areas across the country. And that meant that even neighborhoods out of harm's way would receive alerts as long as they were in the zone. So the way things worked before, Israelis would often be interrupted several times a day during tense times, and often for no good reason. And this is not only a detriment to work and productivity, but it of course causes people to go through unnecessary panic, which can easily result in injury. In the recent clashes with Gaza, for example, 34 people were hurt just running to the bomb shelters. But professionals now believe that that number would have been much higher had it not been for the new system. The IDF installed a new alert system over the summer that makes sirens more specific to location, and the IDF has also made that alert system more available for private citizens who just need to download the app in order to hear the sirens. So no more needless alerts, and next up, the IDF hopes to install the alert system into smart TVs too. 10 years ago, a Jewish infant from Afula, Israel, was orphaned by terror. But despite losing both parents to a heinous terrorist attack in Mumbai, India, Moshe Holtzberg is today celebrating coming of age with his bar mitzvah, and all of Israel is watching.
מזל טוב, מוישה. מזל טוב עם הגעך למצוות. זה מאוד מרגש אותנו. אני התרגשתי כשפגשתי אותך במומבאי, ואחר כך ראיתי פגשה אותך במטוס. מזל טוב לסבתות ולסבים. איזה רגע עצום זה. אנחנו יודעים איזה טרגדיה עברתם. אנחנו תמיד זוכרים איך סנדרה חילצה אותך והגנה עליך. אנחנו לא שוכחים אף פעם את סנדרה. ואנחנו יודעים שבתוך הטרגדיה הזאת יש חיים ויש תקומה ויש מצוות. ואתה בא עכשיו באמת עם אהבה של כל עם ישראל וכל אזרחי ישראל, ורבים רבים מחוץ לישראל. לכן אני רוצה לאחל לך שתהיה בן נאמן לעמך, לארצך, למשפחתך, ושתמשיך בחיים טובים ומאושרים. מזל טוב, מוישי.
מזל טוב, מוישי, ולכל המשפחה היקרה שלך. אנחנו יודעים שעברת אסון גדול בגיל 2. אתה בעצם מגיל 2 נלחם יום-יום להמשיך את החיים, אבל אתה עטוף בהרבה אהבה של הסבים והסבתות, כל המשפחה שלך ושל המטפלת שטיפלה בך ומטפלת בך ואיתכם עד היום. אבל אתה יודע שכל עם ישראל איתכם.
And now here to tell us more about this incredible but delicate story is ILTV's Shanna Fold. Shanna, thank you so much for being with us. Now, can you give us a little bit of background here? You know, many kids in Israel have their bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. You know, why is this one so different?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of kids who have their bar mitzvah are not still in post-traumatic stress from a terrorist attack that claimed the life of both parents. So this was special, and I think that so let me give you a little bit of background. Moshe was just 2 years old when he was rescued from a terrorist attack in Mumbai. His parents ran a Chabad house in Mumbai, India, which is a place where travelers and Jews can come and be Jews when they're abroad, when they're not in densely populated places that might have a lot of Jews. So some Pakistani terrorists came in and shot the place up, and luckily for Moshe, he was rescued by his nanny. So this is the background there on why it's sort of momentous that he made it to this moment of manhood.
And why he's definitely in the spotlight, you know, with this coming of age, because this is a huge change from going. It's almost like a transformation story, you know, where you're going from this kind of victim into this adult.
And he made it. He made it through these years, and he's taking a milestone that most Jews get to do. So it's very special.
So have Israelis been kind of following his life since 2 years old, or really kind of are they just tuning in back now?
So people have been following him. Actually, last year, he got some attention from the Prime Minister. He spoke about wanting to open a Chabad house of his own back in Mumbai. He also got attention from the PM of India. Now, I just want to draw our attention to some of the bar mitzvah pictures. He got a lot of shout-outs. He celebrated. He had a lot of love. There was a letter actually from the White House in the United States.
Really? Wow, so everybody's really paying attention to this.
Everyone really paid attention to this. I wanted to just read one line from the letter. Please. It was a brief letter. May your faith continue to guide, strengthen, and comfort you throughout your life. I thought that was really special and sweet.
It's not. It's sweet. It's short and sweet and to the point.
That was
It's
just
nice.
that was just one of the lines I picked out. And Prime Minister Modi also wrote a letter to him. And the terrorist attack actually was on November 26th of 2008.
this is
So
really the
it's
anniversary
in
as well.
close proximity.
Wow. All right. Well, this was such an incredible event. Everybody's been paying attention to it, and it's very special. Shannon, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
In other news, Israeli researchers in the Negev are at it again with an incredible discovery that could change the Earth as we know it.
Researchers from Ben-Gurion University of the Negev consistently wow the world with their achievements. And this year, BGU was even ranked 15th out of 50 in this year's Nature Index of Young Universities. But this latest discovery published by Professor Gonen Ashkenazi and his team may just take the cake, because they've managed to develop a system in which synthetic cells can mimic their biochemical counterparts. So how does it work, and what does it mean? Well, according to BGU's press release, Professor Ashkenazi's team from Ben-Gurion's Department of Chemistry explains that a regular live cell can maintain its life cycle and replicate naturally as long as there's a source of energy nearby, because the system recreates the equilibrium state of biochemical cells, allowing the synthetic cells to receive energy and expel waste properly. As for what it means, well, the implications are practically endless. First, the findings may offer a glimpse into the origins and evolution of early life, but they can also lead to the development of better medicines, as well as biodegradable zero-waste electronics that break down at the end of their lifespans.
Now, in case you haven't heard, lately we've been dealing with public transportation on the Sabbath a lot. And most of the credit has gone to the mayor of Tel Aviv, Ron Huldai, but behind the scenes, many organizations have given a helping hand in the initiative to bring weekend buses to the White City. And here with us to talk about it is Noam Telvered from Noa Tanua, an organization that has had some of the most involvement in the program. Noam, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about Noa Tanua.
So Noa Tanua is a nonprofit organization promoting public transportation for the past 4 years, 4.5 years actually. We've been working since 2015 to raise this issue into public awareness and also to push this further on the agenda of municipalities and also the public, transportation agenda as a whole.
Sure.
We've been operating buses ourselves as well as helping municipalities do so.
Wow. All right, and so, I think a lot of people look at this issue from a lens of, religious versus the secular, but what are the biggest reasons to have a public transit system on the weekend?
So not only 80% of the population supports that, but there are 3 main reasons to support public transportation on Saturdays. First of all, it's only fair for everyone to have the same right to, be free, to do whatever they want during the Saturday. If you don't have a private car, if you can't drive, you're just stuck at home, and that's unfair. The second reason is because public transportation on Saturdays will allow more people to give up their cars and therefore use public transportation on the Saturdays, on the weekdays.
Of course.
And then this will increase the use of public transportation in the weekdays and eventually
the green society, of course,
great.
as well.
Exactly.
Wow. All right. And so what were like the biggest obstacles that you faced in pushing this initiative or in general, in the other areas that you're working?
So we found out people aren't really aware of the fact that we've been operating in the first year of operation. However, during this time, the awareness increased and increased, and now people are joining us from all across Israel, and this is really exciting. And we were evident of a few, obstacles, bureaucratic obstacles mainly, when we tried to, cooperate with municipalities. But like you've seen all over the news, this is happening. This is now working.
Yeah, and people.
And we couldn't be more proud. And
yeah,
we
the response has been incredible.
The responses have been incredible, and we want to thank all of the municipalities who have been more than great and great partners and dedicated towards this goal.
My gosh! All right, so what's the next step here? Because Tel Aviv is now starting this bus system, which, if I understand correctly, it's kind of a trial system. It's not permanently taken by Tel Aviv.
So currently it is defined as a pilot. So we are now operating to see, how is this going? What's going on next? We want to see how the public reacts.
And this is a pilot just for Tel Aviv then? It's not like a national pilot, or is it also a national pilot that you're running?
So Dan Metropolitan is kind of joining forces around this. So many municipalities have been joining this effort. It's not only Tel Aviv. We have other municipalities who would like to take this further, and we have Ramat Gan and Givatayim, Ramat HaSharon, and other cities that are, eager to take part in this, we keep receiving phone calls from mayors all across Israel who would like to take part in this initiative, and this couldn't be more exciting.
Do you think the Haredi parties will allow it to ever become a national initiative?
I don't think they really have a choice. And I'll tell you why. Because when 80% of the population supports something and wishes something would happen, you can't, oppose this for long.
All right, well, I mean, the reaction has been tremendous. I know it's free for now and it won't be forever.
Right.
But after pushing for it for so long, to fill the buses to 100% capacity and more so
that is crazy,
is exactly
and we couldn't be more proud.
Noam, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Moving on, ILTV's Emmanuel Kadosh is now sharing her list of must-see spots in the capital city of Jerusalem. Let's take a look.
Israel's capital, Jerusalem, is on every tourist's itinerary. There are endless things to see and learn about, ranging from historical sites to unbeatable scenery. I'm giving you ILTV's list of must-go-to spots in Jerusalem. The first stop on our list is the Machne Yehuda market. It's the largest market in the capital city with over 250 vendors selling everything from fruit and vegetables to delicious foods and tons of Judaic items. It's a beautiful maze of different smells, sounds, and sights to see. During the day, it's the place to be to walk around and try an array of foods with unbeatable energy, and at night, it's the nightlife scene of Jerusalem. The Kotel, or the Western Wall, is the next spot to visit in Jerusalem. It's one of the most magnificent and significant remains in Jerusalem from the days of the Second Temple, destroyed approximately 2,000 years ago. Thousands of people visit and pray at the Western Wall, located in the Old City, and while there, you have to check out the Western Wall tunnels. The Western Wall itself stretches along almost half a kilometer, but today, only part of the wall is visible. The tour of the tunnels allows visitors to reach the segments of the wall that are hidden from view and touch the original stones. Unbelievable sight to see. Next must-see spot on the list is the Yad Vashem World Holocaust Remembrance Center. This museum is the ultimate source for Holocaust education, documentation, and research. You'll find inside the Museum of Holocaust Art, Hall of Names, Children's Museum, and the Avenue of Righteous Among the Nations. Each section documents accurately one of the darkest chapters in the history of humanity. There's not a dry eye in the whole museum. One of the aspects that makes Jerusalem so undeniably unique are the stones that make up the city. This pale limestone has been used in buildings since ancient times and has been used in many of Israel's most celebrated structures, such as the Western Wall. In fact, municipal laws in Jerusalem require that all buildings be faced with local Jerusalem stone, which was actually part of a master plan for the city drawn up in 1918. There's, of course, tons more to see in the ancient city, but you're just gonna have to come check it all out for yourself.
All right, finally, you may be surprised, but this is the most spoken about news in Israel today. KFC is back in the Holy Land. The chain Chicken Eatery has tried to make it in Israel 3 different times in the past, and in its latest stint during the early 2000s, it had 8 different franchise locations here. But franchise owner Udi Shammai decided to close his branches in 2012 as they weren't profitable. And he says that it's because he changed the recipe to make it kosher. But so what makes the Colonel so confident this time? Well, the Israeli chains have decided to return to the old recipe, meaning no more kosher certificate, but hopefully for them, it will also mean more sales. And the first branch is expected to open in Nazareth. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be clear to partly cloudy and chilly with lows around 51 or 11 degrees Celsius. Then tomorrow is expected to be partly cloudy and comfortable with highs around 68 or 20 degrees Celsius. That's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.47 shekels to the American dollar. For more news from ILTV, please like ILTV on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. And finally, we'd like to give a special thanks to the Christian Broadcasting Network and to all of those watching our news on CBN. It's our pleasure to join the family. I'm Aaron Porras. See you next time.